This is the Creative Market Free Goods Roundup week of June 22nd, 2015. There are 6 different free goods this week, but they are free this week only. So if you see something you like, check out the description of this video, where I will place links to each one of these 6 different free items. First up is 22 flat vector C icons. This is a collection of icons in EPS, Photoshop, as well as PNG file formats, and I have the EPS file opened up inside Adobe Illustrator here to show it. And as you can tell, they're all nautical themed, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer on some of these so you can get a better idea of what these icons look like up close. If you get really close on these icons, like for example this squid icon, you can tell that all the points are very nicely rounded and everything looks like a lot of time was spent making these extremely consistent and have a very professional feel to them. I'll go over here to this simple fish icon right here, so I'm going to zoom back out so we can keep on checking everything else out. So there's a pretty nice selection of nautical themed icons here to choose from, and also they have a very nice color palette, so even if you want to use these just to kind of steal the color palette from, this is actually a very good file to go ahead and do that from. I think a lot of the color choices are very strong. For example, this boat anchor on this blue background, all these colors seem to work very nicely together, and I think that's kind of a cool bonus in this particular pack. And also, as you can see, all these icons have these little 3D drop shadows to them to help separate the icon from the background a little bit. You can always use the white arrow, which is the direct selection tool, or you can hit A on your keyboard to select that, and then just kind of click on the middle of one of these little drop shadows and then backspace to delete it, if you don't want to use those included 3D drop shadows, but they are there for you to use if you want to do so. So that's it for this pack. A very nice selection of nautical themed icons that I think you could use as icons or even as illustrations as part of a bigger illustration or design if you want to go ahead and do that. So if you like what you see right here, just be sure to download them this week while they're still free. Next up is Speech Bubble Pack. This is a pack of speech bubbles provided in both Illustrator as well as Photoshop file formats, so I have it opened up inside Adobe Illustrator here to show it. And there are 3 different variations to pick from. The A01 is just the outlines, the O2 is a solid fill, and the O3 is a solid fill with an outline. So there is a little bit of versatility there to go ahead and kind of pick which one you think will work best for your project. And off to the side here, there's also this, which is a vector texture that you go ahead and overlay over your different speech bubbles. So if you're looking for a simple vector texture, this is also included. And they do include files for the Photoshop formats as well if you want to use the texture inside of Photoshop as opposed to Illustrator. I'll quickly zoom in a little bit closer on these speech bubbles so you can kind of get a better idea of how these look up close. If you look at the way the edges are on these, they're all slightly imperfect. To give this a handmade feel, I think it pulls off that look very well. And the outlines are the same deal. They have a very inconsistent, sort of irregular look to them, which gives it that little bit more of a handmade appearance to it. But overall, these are all pretty solid, and I think if you're looking for some speech bubbles, there's a nice selection of stuff here to pick from, and having it both in vector as well as Photoshop format should make this one pretty useful for a whole lot of different people. So if you like what you see here and you're looking for some speech bubbles, this pack is perfect for you. Just be sure to grab it this week while it's still free. Next up is 48 Handmade stamp brushes. This is a collection of handmade stamps in Photoshop as well as Photoshop brush formats, as well as Illustrator shown right here, and then PNGs. So I have the Illustrator file opened up to show these, and it looks like they actually made some real brush stampings, and then they scanned them in and brought them into the different programs for you to go ahead and use. So if you're a digital scrapbooker, I think this is a perfect pack for you to pick up because there's a lot of really fun different stamps here to pick from and use. And as you can see right here, if I zoom in on this dog a little bit, it has a very nice characteristic of the worn rough stamp look to it that's very hard to achieve if you're doing it completely digitally. So I would have to assume that these are actual stamps that were scanned in and then brought into this program. So I'll just keep on going through all the different options here so you can kind of see how all these look. Like I said before, I really like the selection of stuff here to pick from, so I think you're pretty well covered with a lot of different potential use scenarios, whether you're doing this for parties or invitations or anything like that, or even if you just want to make kind of a fun little illustration and add some character to something like a letterhead or stationery, anything like that. These should come in pretty handy for you to go ahead and use. So this one is the Illustrator version, and that's awesome because these are all vectors, so you can scale them up nice and big if you want to. But like I said before, they do include the PNGs, the Photoshop files, as well as the Photoshop brushes if you like actually stamping stuff in with a Photoshop brush and kind of making it feel a little bit more analog by using it that way. But a very cool pack of different stamps here to pick from and use. And like I said before, if you're a scrapbooker or a digital scrapbooker, these will probably be right up your alley. So if you think you'll have use for these, just be sure to pick them up this week. Next up is Baystyle, which is a font. This font is provided in OpenType font format and also has a web font included. And there's 3 different weights or styles of this font. This one up the top here is called pencil, the one below it is called pen, and the one below that is called marker. And when I look at these, I kind of think of it as this one is a light version, this one's the regular version, and this one's the bold version. And as you can tell here, it does have both lowercase as well as uppercase letters included. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer on these lowercase letters so you can get a better idea of how these look up close. It has a very handmade, hand-drawn look to it, so there are a lot of imperfections, but those are there by design to give this a nice handwritten appearance to it. If everything was completely perfect, you might kind of lose that effect a little bit and it wouldn't look as handmade as it does. So here are the uppercase letters of the pencil version, and as you can tell, they do a very nice job of seamlessly blending with these lowercase letters next to them. These all work together very nicely. And below it right here, this version is called the pen style. So this is what I consider more the regular. And below that is the marker style, which I consider to be the bold variation of this particular font. So right here are the numbers. It includes 1 through 0, so everything you need there. And below that are a few of the different special characters. If I highlight over this and go to type and then glyphs near the top here, you can see that this particular font has a huge selection of different glyphs to choose from. If you're using a Latin-based language, you're probably well covered with this font. There's a lot of different special accent marks and stuff like that for you to go ahead and pick from and use if you get into the glyphs menu here. And below that, I typed up Free Goods Roundup in the 3 different styles that we have right here. So this one right here is the pencil, this one is the pen, and below it is the marker. As you can see, these look very nice typed up, and they do a very convincing job of pulling off that handmade look. I think the stock spacing and kerning across all these different weights looks extremely well. So that's it for this font. If you think you'll have use for this font in some projects either now or in the future, just be sure to grab it this week. Next up is Start, a responsive one-page template. This is an HTML and CSS template, so you won't need WordPress or any other CMS like that, but you will need at least basic coding knowledge to go in here and change out the images and type. And this is built using Bootstrap, which is a responsive framework that's extremely popular, as well as Less. And Less is a CSS processor that has a lot of really cool features. If you want to learn more about Less and the awesome things it does to make CSS better, just Google Less CSS and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about, because it gives you the opportunity to define stuff like color variables. So if you want to use one color across your entire site, you could call it like @color_red and then apply a hex code or whatever you want to do to define what that color is. And then if you ever update that variable, it'll update across your entire site, so you only have to change it once instead of a bunch of different times. It's really a cool way to work if you're looking for a new way to work with CSS. But this is a one-page theme, and like I said before, it is fully responsive, so it should look good on a bunch of different devices. And I'll just scroll down here through the different options to pick from, and at the top here, you can use this menu and it will just automatically scroll you up or down these different pages. If you click on one of these portfolio items, it'll bring up a page where you can embed videos, and then there's this slideshow gallery right here, along with plenty of room for type below it, and then you can kind of explain the project itself. There's a little launch project button that could take you to that project's own web page if you want to link people off to somewhere else. And to remove that, you just kind of click off that screen there. As you can see here, there's a testimonial section as well as pricing tables. So if you're offering something that has like a monthly fee or subscription cost, this will come in super handy. There's a ton of room right here for different team members. And it's also very nice that they label all these different boxes, the actual image size. So these are 300 by 300. That'll save you a little bit of time when you're going in here and making custom images for all these different things. I always like when people take the time to do little details like that. At the bottom here, there's a client section if you want to show off your client's logos, as well as a very standard contact us section with message, subject, name, email. This image verification isn't working right now, but that's just where you'd input a CAPTCHA. So they probably didn't set that up for this particular site, but once you implement the CAPTCHA, that's what this image verification little broken link thing will turn into. At the bottom here, there is a nice footer for About Us, Contact, Need Help, as well as a Get in Touch if you want to submit your email and then have someone contact you, and then all the social icons you'd come to expect. So a very simple yet very cleanly designed portfolio theme here. And I think this one is particularly well suited for small businesses or small design practices that have a bunch of different projects going on, a bunch of different team members, and you want to show all that off. And then there's stuff like this blog section right here that you could, if I click on this to continue reading, it doesn't launch that particular blog page, but you could link all these blog pages off to separate pages if that's something you want to do. But I really like this theme. I think it's nice and simple websites tend to work for a whole bunch of different potential uses. So you can feel free to go in here and kind of customize this to be perfect for whatever your needs happen to be. But that's it for this theme. If you like what you've seen thus far, I definitely recommend you pick this one up, check it out, and see if it'll work out for you. Just be sure to do it this week while this is still free. And last up is Set Flat Square Icon of Animals. This is a set of animal icons provided in both EPS, Photoshop, as well as JPEG file formats The JPEG is actually a flattened image that looks exactly like this, so I think you'll get the most use out of the Illustrator or Photoshop files, but the JPEG is there in case you do want to use that. And there's 9 different animals here to pick from, all with a pretty cool style to them. So I'll just zoom in a little bit closer on some of these different animals so you can get a better idea of what to expect in this pack. I think they did a very nice job of converting all these animals to have a very square appearance to them. So if you're looking to create some animal icons for an app or a toolbar icon, something like that, these might come in really handy. You might have to modify some of these a little bit if you want to use just the animal as the icon, as they're currently perfect for icons because they live within these square backgrounds. But this animal right here, for instance, its tail kind of extends past the typical icon size. So that's something to kind of consider if you want to use them like that. But I do think they did a very nice job of converting all these animals into that icon appearance. My personal favorite is this whale right here because it's a very nice job of simplifying the image of a whale down into something that has that icon appearance. It's very bold, very simple, and it conveys that message extremely clearly. So a great pack here of 9 different animals, all with a lot of character, and they're all very fun as well. So if you like what you see right here, just be sure to download this pack this week while it's still free. So that's it for this week's free goods, and do remember they are free this week only, so be sure to check out the description of this video where you'll find links to download each one of these 6 different free items. And as always, if you found this video helpful, please like and favorite, and if you want to see this video every week, please subscribe. These videos are released every Monday to let you know it's free this week on Creative Market. Thank you for watching.